From the headquarters of Telesur English in Quito, Ecuador, I am Stefania Bravo, and this is From the South. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has been sworn in for his second term in office. The Supreme Court President Michael Moreno presented Maduro, who then took the oath of office before a diverse delegation of diplomats and world leaders. In his inaugural speech, Maduro reminded everyone that he is the president of people. He also made a call for regional integration.
I have been working with the Chancellor, drafting an idea. Hopefully a group of countries, Latin American countries, of governments that keep political balance would take the initiative of creating a group to reunite Latin America and the Caribbean, to reunify Latin America and the Caribbean, create a group for debate, dialogue, and to overcome the differences that we have today, hopefully. Venezuela has opponents who are extremely powerful and harmful. The first one, the American imperialism. But I reckon that the worst of all are those who are corrupt, those indolent who damage the country. It's even worse that all imperialism put together. It's the enemy that we are set to defeat. And there's a single way of doing so. A single way. With a moral revolution. With a spiritual revolution. A revolution of love. Love. Love for the nation. Love for earth, for history, love for our children, love for our grandchildren, a great revolution of love that will change spiritually to position us in a higher position. From this revolution that needs important changes, and it's a new beginning that will renew the hope, renew the energy, that expands the strength towards a noble country.
And just after President Nicolas Maduro was sworn in, he was recognized by the armed forces at the Bolivarian Military University of Venezuela. Thousands of soldiers welcomed the president and expressed their solidarity with the head of state. They also pledged their commitment to their prosperity and defense of the country.
To carry this sword with dignity, and with it
con tanto intervencionismo, tanta amenaza imperial,
con el imperial threats and intervention. With the example of Bolívar, everything is possible.
Sin Bolívar nada.
Without Bolívar, nothing is possible. With the country, everything is possible. Against the country, nothing is possible. That is how I receive it.
Con mucho amor.
And with love, because I know. Because an example of loyalty, our Bolivarian armed forces are an example of loyalty to the country, to the constitution, and to the revolution. Thank you very much.
El espíritu irreductible de una.
And huge crowds gathered outside the Supreme Court in Caracas to support the swearing-in ceremony. Members of several social and political movements, workers, students, and campesinos showed their support for the new government. People have also said they will not tolerate U.S. intervention.
We are here to defend our country, our resources, our president who was named by Hugo Chavez, our brother Maduro, our eternal commander who is defending us despite economic war. People are with him. Now we are all with Maduro.
We had the best elections in the country. We went through very difficult moments, but people still support our proposal for the country that Hugo Chavez left for us. My total support to our people in Maduro because he is the son of Chavez. We support him in a peaceful country where our battles have been only electoral and we have won. Venezuela should be respected. We are willing to defend our country.
We are here supporting our president, the president of the working people, a man who has fought for all of us. We support him today because we know the attacks he has faced from other countries, which do not know what a participative democracy means, which do not know what is the situation of the working women inside the revolutionary spaces. Today we are supporting the legacy of our commander Hugo Chavez. We defend our president Nicolas Maduro Moro. Here we are, President. One more time waving the flag of freedom because we are a sovereign country, a democratic country. Because no interventionist empire is going to come to our country to tell us what to do. You, Maduro, you are our president, and you will be our president if we keep voting for you. We did it, and we will keep doing it.
The United Nations will continue to work with Venezuela, according to the spokesperson of the Secretary General. Stefan Dujarric made the announcement as President Nicolas Maduro was sworn in for a second term. It comes as the Organization of American States passed a U.S. resolution not to recognize the Venezuelan government, and Paraguay broke off diplomatic relations. Dujarric said the UN is not there to disregard the heads of member states. The South African Communist Party has sent a congratulatory message to Maduro on his new term as president. Party Deputy Secretary General Solly Mapaila said the Bolivarian Revolution remains a source of inspiration for political organizations and social movements across the global South.
This is Solly Mapaila from the South African Communist Party. We want to take this opportunity to wish Comrade Nicolas Maduro great success in his new term as President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, to take forward the ideas of the great Simon Bolivar, as well as Commander Hugo Chavez, in the fight against imperialism, in the unification of the Venezuelan people and the people of Latin America and the working class worldwide, the people of the South, against imperialism, against the American offensive. Of course, we understand that the Americans have identified Venezuela as a strategic place to fight against its atrocities worldwide, including in Latin America, and therefore they will intensify those attacks on Comrade Maduro specifically. But we want to express our profound solidarity with him and to the people of Venezuela, that they can count on us throughout to be on their side in the fight to defeat the capitalist barbarism and American imperialism and world capitalist imperialism that is driven by the NATO group and their allies. Thank you very much.
Solidarity events were planned around the world in support of President Nicolas Maduro and the Venezuelan people. Social organizations gathered in front of the Venezuelan embassy in Buenos Aires. They stressed the importance of defending Venezuela against imperialism and also to defend Nicaragua, Bolivia, and all of the leftist leaders facing persecution in Latin America. And another rally was held outside of the Venezuelan embassy in London. Demonstrators held banners which read, "Hands off Venezuela," and "No to the U.S. blockade and U.S. intervention." People in Palestine also took to the streets in front of the Venezuelan embassy in a show of support for President Maduro. Palestinian citizens waved Venezuelan flags and banners in solidarity with the people of the Latin American country. Let's take a look back at the Venezuelan presidential election held on May 20th of 2018.
The vote was held amid an economic boycott and a siege against the country. The government of Venezuela and the opposition, represented by the so-called Democratic Roundtable, held a dialogue process in the Dominican Republic, which failed after the far-right party refused to sign the agreement, due to last-moment pressures from the United States, as announced by the Venezuelan government. Weeks later, other sectors of the opposition signed an agreement of electoral guarantees alongside the Bolivarian government. As part of these agreements, the National Electoral Council called an election for May 20, a day which took into consideration the demands of the opposition. The presidential vote of May 20 saw the participation of the Venezuelan opposition in a race which had 4 candidates in representation of more than 50 political parties and movements of electors. In addition, more than 200 observers and international companions were present, who ratified the transparency of the electoral session, reviewing its results. 16 public audits were also carried out before, during, and after the electoral process. The result was a victory for President Nicolas Maduro, who was re-elected for the period 2019-2025, with more than 67% of the valid votes.
We'll be back very soon. Stay with us. Welcome back. Some Panamanian foreign affairs experts are saying that international relations are being manipulated to benefit powerful states like the U.S. They say Panama's participation in the Lima Group is a symptom of this.
Panama's foreign ministry has been harshly criticized for serving U.S.-aligned interests.
Former President Varela implemented policies that are far from the alleged neutral Panamanian position, a tradition of dialogue that our country has had throughout history. Now we serve North American foreign policies.
Panama, as a member of the Lima Group, tries to isolate Venezuela. This is a far cry from Panama's historically neutral stance.
Panama has done a lot throughout history, and it's not good for us as a nation to accept this. This even helps divide our country.
When it comes to the Israel-Palestine conflict, Panama was one of the few countries that voted against Palestine being recognized as a state. Panama has also remained silent on the many human rights violations.
Panama has aligned itself with these kinds of policies, and we can see how the government makes statements on certain countries but remains silent about others. However, when Panama remains quiet, it means that we are accepting crimes against humanity and injustice taking place in other parts of the world, such as Palestine and Yemen.
Panamanian social movements are still fighting to defend sovereignty and independence, not just for the country, but for their Latin American brothers and sisters.
A new law prohibiting the re-election of members of the Congress has come into effect in Peru. The constitutional reform prohibits the immediate re-election of a congressperson to the same position. It was put forward by President Martín Vizcarra and was widely supported in a referendum held in December 2018. The president of Peru's Congress has resigned from Keiko Fujimori's Popular Force Party. In a social media message, Daniel Salaverry says he felt compelled to follow his convictions. On Tuesday, the party presented a vote of no confidence against him. Salaverry's resignation follows the departure of 4 other lawmakers from the party. A Colombian social leader has been killed in the southern Caqueta department. 40-year-old Miguel Antonio Gutierrez is the 7th social leader to be killed in the first 10 days of 2019. Several armed men broke into Gutierrez's residence and shot him. The victim had received multiple death threats over the past few months. 164 social leaders were killed in Colombia last year. Stakeholders in Colombia's livestock and dairy sectors are concerned about the appointment of José Félix Lafaurie as the Breeders' Federation president. Lafaurie has been linked to paramilitary groups and land eviction cases. This was revealed during the administration of Juan Manuel Santos. Lafaurie will head the federation for the next 10 years. A Guarani community in Paraguay is camping in the capital Asunción to protest after being evicted from their territory. They blame Brazilian businessmen for taking over their lands.
Families of the Mbia Guarani community known as Tacuari are camping in the middle of Asunción. They have been protesting for 3 months, asking the government to give them their territory back. But the government of Mario Abdo Benítez hasn't helped them until now.
We are fighting for our ancestral lands. We were evicted from our lands. Men hired by Brazilian businessmen did this. They also killed one of our leaders, Isidoro Barrios. His body wasn't even returned. This happened 5 months ago. The government hasn't done anything.
According to official figures, 76% of indigenous people in the country live in extreme poverty. Many moved to the city in search of basic services and help that the state is not providing in their territories.
They say we are violent. They say that because we are defending our rights, because we are not taking more injustice. Our youth now know they cannot remain silent. We need to defend our rights.
The Guarani community was expelled from the country's border with Brazil, an area that has seen an increase of soya monocultures. A special report from the Olo Nos Ruralistas Observatory has shown that 14% of indigenous territories are in the hands of Brazilian businessmen.
These people think they own Paraguay. They don't respect our state authorities. The Attorney General, who should defend us and our rights, hasn't done anything for us, not even politicians or judges. We are dying because we have no support.
The families that are camping in Asunción say they want to return to their territory. They also announced they will reach out to other community groups to ask them to support their protests.
A crowd has gathered in front of the Temuco jail in Chile in support of Mapuche community members who are imprisoned there. They're rallying in support of indigenous prisoners who plans to hold a religious ceremony were shut down by prison authorities. Mapuche leaders vowed to continue protest action. At least 9 people are dead and another 11 injured in a car crash along a Chilean highway. Local media reports state that a truck first collided with a car carrying 3 adults and an infant near Valdivia. The truck then hit a van carrying 17 patients who were returning from dialysis treatment at a hospital. Only the 10-month-old infant survived, while 6 of those dialysis patients died. Clashes between 2 drug gangs have left 21 people dead in the northern state of Tamaulipas. A state security official said the army located the bodies. Many of them were burnt. More than 200,000 people have been violently killed in Mexico since 2007, although official numbers do not specify how many are gang-related cases.
Everything points to the fact that it was a confrontation between 2 gangs. But we don't want to give information that doesn't correspond to the reality. We will tell the truth about what sadly happened in Miguel Alemán, in Mier, in this part of Tamaulipas.
We'll be back very soon. Stay with us. Welcome back. 2 police officers have reportedly died in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Violent clashes were reported between supporters of President-elect Felix Tshisekedi and suspected supporters of runner-up Martín Fayulu. Police officers used tear gas and rubber bullets to separate the 2 groups outside the headquarters of Tshisekedi's party. Fayulu has rejected the Electoral Commission's declaration of Tshisekedi as the winner of the presidential election.
We were celebrating the victory of our president, who won these elections, and suddenly we see a group of people carrying MLC flags, sticks, bottles and stones. They started coming after us and ruining our party.
The African Union has appealed for calm in the Democratic Republic of Congo after provisional results were announced by the country's Electoral Commission. The continental body advised all political actors to maintain peace and work towards an orderly transition. The Electoral Commission declared Felix Tshisekedi the winner of the presidential election. However, certain sectors of society have rejected the results. Meanwhile, in a dramatic turn of events, President Joseph Kabila's Common Front for the Congo Party said it is considering going to court to challenge Tshisekedi's victory.
Our platform is in the process of gathering all the elements to assess their adequacy with the results proclaimed by the CENI, and if necessary, to enable it to consider referring the matter to the Constitutional Court.
3 people have been killed in Sudan in an anti-government protest dispersed by police forces. Protesters have taken to the streets for 3 weeks now. They first demonstrated against the increase of bread prices, but now they are demanding the country's 30-year-old ruler to step down. As the UN envoy has warned that substantial progress is needed to advance in the peace effort in Yemen, citizens in the port city of Hodeida are worried about failure of the peace agreement.
We are worried about the failure of the written agreement between Houthis and the Yemen government. People are watching the situation with great concern. There is no reassurance on the ground.
If there is no peaceful agreement between the Houthis and the Yemeni government, then we will remain in fear and terror of the war. We have lost a lot of citizens because of this.
School bells are ringing across South Africa as the first academic day of 2019 kicks off. But research shows many of them will not make it through the country's education system due to South Africa's high dropout rate. More in this report from our correspondent in Pretoria.
Metzing Primary School caters for children from mixed-income households around Soshanguve Township, north of Pretoria. Some of the students are here with the help of government social grants, while others hail from working-class homes, so their parents or caregivers are able to pay their fees. This is John Mulepo and his former primary school teacher, Selimu Tupi. John is now a PhD candidate and a lecturer at the University of the Northwest. He completed his primary and secondary education at nearby schools around Soshanguve. Now he's here to give back. John has rallied other graduates to help provide stationery and cover books for Metzing primary school pupils.
I remember with me, in my case, my parents had a challenge in terms of, the school gave us books, but then, the, covering of, wrapping of books was a challenge at home. So I remember, this is a case of my story when I was young. So I said to myself, maybe how many kids are still suffering from those things. So I said to myself, why can't we plow back to the community and do this thing, and maybe we can assist families out there.
John's social activism is an example to follow for mostly disadvantaged children at the school. He runs other campaigns that help aspiring university students cover their unaffordable university fees. John says social media has been instrumental in tracking down former pupils who want to give back to their old school. And former teacher Selimu Tupi says she's not surprised by John's generosity.
I met John as a young boy at Machaga Primary School in 2002 while he was in grade 4. He was a young, sweet boy. Then he was playing soccer by then. He was positive, he liked to explore so many things.
25 years into democracy, South Africa is still recovering from the unjust apartheid policies that prevented black people from receiving a quality education. In many cases, even if young people make it through university, they are bound by the financial shackles of now having to support their extended families. But the country is fortunate to have a new, inspiring generation of people like John who not only empower themselves through education, but also bend down to offer a hand to those climbing the ladder after him. Matumba Mahlachi, Telesur, Soshanguve in Pretoria.
And finally, French citizens are skeptical about President Emmanuel Macron's great national debate, which will see town hall meetings held around the country. The discussions, which will begin in mid-January, will address grievances raised by citizens who have been protesting for weeks. Many citizens, however, feel that the debates will be nothing more than talk shows that will not address the challenges facing ordinary citizens.
This national debate has no legitimacy to me because it doesn't represent the people at all. In any case, it means that if this debate is set up, it will be managed by the presidential party, Republic on the Move. From then on, nothing will come out of it.
And with that story, we've come to the end of this news brief. For these and other stories, go to our website at telesurenglish.net. And also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. For Telesur English, I am Estefania Bravo. Thank you for watching.